Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. So today we're going to paint the easiest flower I can think of for the summertime. But we're going to talk about hot press versus cold press and the differences between the two. And maybe if you've never tried one or the other, you should try it now. If you have any questions, leave in the comment section. Like I said, super easy tutorial for a beginner. And also if you're just starting out and you're confused about the two papers, I go over the differences, and I'm using the same consistency of the paint, and look at the difference. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section, and let's get started. All right, so here I have hot press paper from Fabriano. It's 100% cotton, but it's hot press. And here I have cold press paper. Here we have a wonderful little photograph of hollyhocks, one of the easiest flowers I think to paint, and I'll just demonstrate that today, as well as just demonstrate the differences between the two paper if you don't even have a clue what is different about them and why they're so different and what the use is for. Also, as I stated, the hollyhocks, the reference photo will be linked in the description box. So I've just mixed, I'm taking my Princeton number 12 Neptune series brush, round, short handle, by the way, mixing some holbein bright rose with cadmium red light to get that lovely pink color. And what you'll find as you take this paint, and now I'll talk about consistency in the paint. What does that mean? How the paint moves, how much water you've added to it. I use tube paints because it can activate quite easily. And the consistency is when you add more, when you squeeze it out of the tube, it's butter. As you add water, it turns to butter, to cream, to milk, to coffee, to tea. And just like you would think that the actual product of tea is, and the thickness of that, that's what, when I talk about consistency. So the consistency of the paint right now, as I added water to it, resembles kind of more of milk. You can still move it, but it doesn't move as really, it's not super watery, and you can get a nice amount on your brush. Now, see these flowers are kind of in a circle. Some are facing the other way. Excuse me. This is the best way I know how to paint them. Very kind of circular. I can add a little bit more water to my paint. Now it's becoming more like tea, right? So here's the hot press, right? And here's the cold press. Now I'm going to do the cold press first. I'm going to zoom in. Now I'm going to figure if I'm going to do a circle here and here. We'll just kind of put the circle, leave a little white space, but we want it jiggy-jaggedy. We don't want it perfect, right? And then we don't want it super perfect circle either. So we're going to jiggy-jaggedy like this, and then do like a little jiggy-jaggedy, leaving that white space for the yellow stamen inside. And then up in here, we're going to, so you're going to make it like almost like a curvy U, but not quite, more of like a V with jiggy-jaggedy on top. So I'm saying jiggy-jaggedy. I know it's a kind of funny term. And then down here, I'll add another kind of wiggly circle. And then the circle, the stamen part will be here. See how I kind of added that? Now, you'll see the cold press. It's already seeping into the paper. It's doing a great job. Let's try the same thing we just did. Same amount of water on our brush, paint I mean, on the hot press, right? So we're going to wiggle the circle. Right away you notice difference. Do you see that puddle? And why do we see that? The cold press seeps in. The hot press, it just sits on top. So here's the other circle, jiggy-jaggedy circle, and do like a little like a V. We'll do some little ones up here. Right? You see how it seeps in? On the whole press? It's still sitting on top of the hot press. It's still sitting there. It's still very wet. It's already gone into the cold press. This is the difference. The paint will sit on top and it will create more of a hard edge. See, it's already creating a hard edge where it kind of was starting, where it didn't seep into the paper, into the divots like the cold press. So it's sitting on top. So where the extra water pigment was, it's now created a hard edge. This one has a little bit of a hard edge in some places, but mostly not, right? That's why we'll cold press will make better paper for washes. And well, you will say to yourself, why? I'm doing this circle kind of down here, jiggy jaggy, and see how it's just still sitting on top. And I'll do some small little wiggly ones here, and another wiggly one like that we just did up here, down here. Why would you choose cold press? Since you see this little hard edge, I'm not liking that. I'd have to go back over and add more paint. Several reasons. Why not play with it? Play with the hard edges. Not everything in the planet has to have a blended kind of, look to it. Sometimes you want those hard edges. I'm going to add a couple little doodads up here, like little buds. Another little bud coming up here. Now I kind of made mine too big. I should have made it a little bit smaller so you can get more of the flower and the greenery in. So now I'm doing the jiggy jaggedy here. But see how it just kind of really just starts to seep into the paper, whereas the hot press does not. Let's clean off our brush. Let's make some greens. I always mix my greens. It's just a thing that I do. I feel like it's better that way. You can buy some greens, but I just feel like it comes out not natural looking. So cadmium yellow deep and Prussian blue are my go-tos. I can also use peacock blue, but then since these leaves are pretty dark, I'll add more blue, and then I'll grab like a reddish brown. So I have burnt sienna here, or I could use burnt umber. So the blue gets kind of taken away a little bit, and you get more of a muted kind of green. So here we go with the greens. Now I'll put the stem in here. Just go down like this. We don't want it going through the flower. And kind of pass through and come down, right? And then we have little lines connecting these little guys coming up over here. To make a leaf, just take the brush. You can hold it whatever on your side. Kind of just push down and kind of wiggle, and then pull up so you're getting the tip and connect it. You can try to do the opposite way. Push down and kind of wiggle and pull up. Look at that. The leaves are more jiggy jaggedy again. That's the only way I can describe it. Pull it out like this and then do some jiggy jaggedy. Wiggle the edges for a leaf like this. It's coming off the paper. There's one on the side, just kind of wiggle that. So here it kind of looks like a smooth leaf. You want a jiggy jaggedy edge. And same thing with this, kind of jiggy jaggedy. Little jiggy jaggedy leaves coming this way, right? And do another big one here. So you're going to start here and jiggy jaggedy, and like this, and pull it in. You can just fill it. I love using a 12 because it holds a lot of paint, makes it less work. You get these teeny tiny brushes like this, and have 8 long round. You'll be sitting here all day. And we don't want a 2-hour tutorial on how to paint this. Kind of go in here and add some more leaves. You can play with adding some leaves out here. But you see, it's already seeped into the paper, right? Now we're going to try it on the hot press. Those hard lines. We'll kind of go down here. One thing about the hot press that's kind of fun is that it's such smooth paper that you can glide. I like to use hot press for ink and wash because the ink pen just really glides on the paper. So again, jiggy jaggy, wiggle the brush, kind of pull up. Do the same thing here. Jiggy jaggedy. Jiggy jaggedy. I know it's a new word, right? Connect. A couple little leaves down here. Stem, tip of the brush. Pull out a big leaf here. But you see how it's just still sitting on top of the paper? And you're going to see a lot of hard edges that you wouldn't see on the cold press. It's just fun to play with different types of paper. And you might find you don't like the hot press at all because you're so used to the cold press. Now I have quite a few tutorials with hot press. I have that new one with the white watercolor. And people ask, can I use it on cold press? Of course you can, but sometimes the effect won't be the same. So now I'm going to just kind of connect. I put some green around this bud here, and I'll kind of bend down some little greens this way. I'll add another stem here, another jiggy jaggedy leaf here. Has a totally different look, doesn't it? Because it really, I had more paint too, but it seeps in, it sits on top, create hard edges faster on this one. Connect this and add this. I like both looks. This look a little bit different, right? So you see like that, all these little hard edges, but equally beautiful. I might add some bright yellow to this green and change it up a little bit. Let's add some bright colors in here. Don't always want it to be like this muted green. So similar to the greens that we just did, I'm just going to put some more extra ones in here. Going up here, little leaf, just a brighter tone. Put some greenery around those buds. Do want a mishmash. Wiggling. Can even get brighter with some yellowy, more yellow. Let's see if we add, it doesn't really have it in the picture, but it's nice to add your own spin on things, which I do often. So I'm adding some bright green in here. Get creative. When you see a photograph, please do not follow it to a T. Take some initiative and add your own kind of spin on it. So see, we just did those greens and the lovely flower. Now we're going to add a little bit more detail. Still using the 12 brush, by the way. Cadmium yellow deep itself. You see a little bit of this yellow kind of peeking through here on this inside, and it is a little bit green. I might add a little bit of burnt sienna to this, just to tone down my yellow a little bit. A little more muted. So I do make a big circle. I'm going to go add this kind of like a yellow sticky out stem kind of situation. I don't know what there is a name for it. It kind of looks like this. So I wouldn't say it's like a banana, but you can kind of pull it out in the center. I still have white in there, and I'll fill some of that in with a green. Right? While that's drying, I'll take a Princeton 8 long round, and I'll mix the, see it's butter right here, the pink and the red again. One more pink. See, this butter is barely moving off that little palette. As I add water to it, it starts to move. The consistency of the paint is changing. Okay, so I can move the paint. Tap it on my paper towel. We're going to do like these little lines in our hollyhock. Not a million of them. This one's still kind of wet. You can go like this, bleed in a couple of lines coming from the center, going outward. And here, just kind of go on the side, back here. We're just giving it some more finesse. This circle kind of flowers. You just go like that. Kind of cluster a few of them together. Have a couple separate. Even make it even lighter tone, just so it's more subtle. You can cluster a piece like that. Get a little bit creative with it. Same thing here. We gotta do both, right? I'm curious to see what you think about playing with both of these with the hot press and the cold press. And if you've never tried hot press, you should. Now I have many tutorials on YouTube here with using hot press, because I like playing with both of them. Sometimes I paint some semi-realistic stuff on hot press too. A lot of botanical artists like to use hot press because they're painting really tiny well, not tiny paintings, but they're painting really tiny areas of paintings. So I'm just going to go like this, add a few more lines. You can do like a light lines going in here and then go back in and add some deeper ones. So again, you're just adding more dimensionality to the lovely flowers that we already have. So using that same brush, I'll add a little bit of Prussian blue to my yellow, or I can just grab peacock to make it really bright. You need like a nice chartreusey kind of green. It kind of goes in here next to the yellow stamen. I'm just going to tap a little bit of this green in the center. Already I think our flowers are done, but I do want to add some darker element inside the center here just to pop it. You really can't tell, right? So I'll grab some burnt sienna here and a little bit of ultramarine blue deep. Yeah, gonna try and activate that. Get a little bit of a gray tone and a little more blue. So I have bluish gray here, if you can see this. So ultramarine blue deep and burnt sienna make great grays. I use them often. So this is still seeping in and this is still sitting on top. I wouldn't want to use it just now because we can cause an issue, making it all bleed. So while that's drying, we can go back into our lovely leaves and add a little bit more dimension to those by adding in some veins. Again with this brush, going really quick. Just a teeny bit. You don't have to go crazy doing this. Adding maybe a darker tone kind of on the bottom where it will be a shadow from the flower in front of it. See? Right here and here. Just gonna add some veins here and there. You don't have to show all of them with veins in your leaves, but it's nice to have some, again, a little bit more detail. And it's just a line and these little lines here, and get a little bit darker again, adding some of that greens. Okay, so if your center has dried, I'll grab a little bit more of this blue and burnt sienna. We'll play around with adding a little deeper tone here. This on this side, to the left on this side, to the right on this side. I'm kind of touching it, as you can see, kind of in the back underneath the green. Here it's still kind of wet. This one's not so wet. You see, touching on this side. You can even, well, this one bled. Just a little paper towel. You can kind of outline your yellow with this too, right? Just a little outline. Goes a long way. Still kind of wet here, but I'm going to outline this one. So you're outlining the stamen a little bit. But that's it. This is the quickest hollyhocks you've ever seen. Of course, you can get way more detailed and add way more colors and go in here and get a little bit more detail to the center going outward. But what I want to say to you is, this is all an experiment in playing with the two papers. And if you've never tried them, you should try them, because you might find yourself enjoying one over the other. I really encourage everybody all the time to experiment with different things. I myself are constantly looking for new stuff, adding in some greens here on the ones that are kind of not open here, a little bit darker. So this was a really quick flower, and also a little class on the differences of the two papers. I would be curious to see if you gravitate towards one or the other. And as I painted this particular design, I think the hot press came out prettier and more subtle than the cold press. This is the cold press, this is the hot press. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Would you be willing to paint more on hot press? Please always get a good quality hot press though. 100% cotton makes a big difference. And try and play with it. So I hope this was fun and informative, and if you've never tried the two different papers, you should. If you've only used cold press and never used hot press, try hot press. If you've only used hot press, never used cold press, try cold press. And simple flowers, circles, dots, dashes, and wiggle leaves. Really simple. You can slow me down. Any beginner can paint this, and even a skilled painter should paint this. And a skilled painter may have not even used hot press and may find like, this is an interesting paper. I'd like to play with it. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. If you love my content, maybe consider joining my Patreon. You can find a link in the description box. I have really detailed, more exclusive tutorials in Patreon than I do here on YouTube. And it's a way to support me here on YouTube. You know, and which I really appreciate. Supporting my content that you see on YouTube means a lot to me. So thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon.